Hello. Cue the awkward silence. You may be wondering, hey, why didn't Caitlin say that? Or at least add to that hello. That's because it's just me today. It's me and my cat. Burger, would you like to say anything to the people? Okay, so in case you missed that memo, Caitlin is not here. It's gonna be our first ever solo episode, courtesy of moi. So we're doing a lot of firsts recently in this podcast. Our first series, our first 3-parter on the topic, and now first solo episode. Yeah, so I'm really excited. And I will just let you guys know, Caitlin wanted to be here. However, she's been doing a lot lately. And it was her birthday at the end of March. So everybody wish her a happy belated birthday. She's, volunteering every single week. She works 3 jobs. And she's going to grad school. So, there's a lot going on. She's running her own business. And on top of that, she needs to sleep, eat, and she does have a social life, unlike myself. So, she's a little bit swamped. And for her birthday, I asked her what she wanted. And she was like, I would love to maybe take a week off. So she could have a bath, maybe go shopping, play some Sims. And that's exactly what she did. And I'm glad she had time off. But that means you guys are stuck with me now. And my blabberings. Don't worry, the introduction is almost over. I don't really have much else to say. I'm good. How are you guys? I know you can't respond right now. Burger, how are you? Yes, exactly. Okay. Let's see. I'm so glad that spring is coming. I'm not excited for the allergies, but I'm excited for the sun and the warmth and no more seasonal depression.
I'm Kate.
And I'm Jaim, and this is Creeps and Coffee,
a show where we talk about the dark parts of the world around us.
Cryptids, conspiracies, things that go bump in the night,
and the crimes behind the scariest creatures of all, humans.
Join us as we take a look at the stories sure to give you the creeps.
Pull up a seat, grab a coffee,
and let's have a chat.
And I will just let you guys know, it'll probably be a shorter episode because it's just me talking to myself. I was gonna get somebody else on if we ever needed to do, if Caitlin ever needed to be out or I needed to call in sick. I wanted somebody else on, but I actually forgot and then didn't get anybody in. So that's on me. One of these days, maybe Caitlin will do a solo episode. It'll probably be about history or something. I hope she listens to this and then yells at me for saying that. If it wasn't obvious via the title, we are going over sort of like pop culture conspiracies, celebrity conspiracy theories. And I'm doing it because we haven't done a conspiracy one in a while. And Caitlin is not here to tell me no. So I've already decided that's what we're doing. Oh, we got cats fighting. They don't want to do this either, but nobody can stop me right now. And so usually our format, we do you do 2, I do 2, or Caitlin will do 3 and I'll do 3, vice versa. And then it'll be I'll say 1, she'll say 1, I'll say 1, blah, blah, blah. You get the drift. But this time, I couldn't really find one that would fill a full half hour to an hour of just me. So I'm going to do 6. And it sounds like a lot, but some of them I just want to mention, but they're not really grounded in reality, and there's not much to them. But I really wanted to delve into some goofy celebrity conspiracy theories. And to start that off, we're going to get political. Conspiracy theory number 1 we're going to discuss today. That the President of the United States, Joe Biden, is a robot. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think he's a robot. I'm not sure, but I don't think so. People have said that he's not real, that he wears a mask so often because his face is fake and his mouth doesn't move correctly when he talks, which is a little bit ableist because I'm pretty sure he just has a stutter, which is also rude because I also get a stutter, especially when I'm nervous. And I would too. Speaking in front of hundreds of people, thousands of people, millions of people worldwide, I would probably talk badly as well. I talk badly on here. He's not a robot as far as I'm aware. Can't 100% for certainty say that, but there is like no proof besides people saying that and coming up with random rumors. And people also believe that he's dead. He's not dead yet. He's old. And people also say he's a clone. Again, I don't think so. I have nothing to disprove this besides logic and common sense. But sometimes that's not enough for people. Which is, I'm not going to say valid, but okay. And honestly, couldn't find much on it except for people agreeing or disagreeing with this. So it's really not, there's really nothing to it. But if you think Biden's a robot, feel free to email us at creepsandcoffee at Gmail, Hotmail. I don't actually know. Caitlin usually does that part. And that's literally it for that one. I think that's also probably just a little bit of voter bias, and it's more rooted in the politics of America right now because, you know, Republicans, Democrats, and liberals, they're probably wanting to fight, and the people who don't support Biden are like, yeah, well, he's a robot, or like, he's a lizard person. And hey, he might be a lizard, but he's still the president of America. Which also doesn't really affect me because I'm Canadian, but I still thought it was kind of funny to talk about. Alright, the next one, also political. Barack Obama, a former president of the United States, there is a theory that his birth certificate is fake. Let me tell you, I'm pretty sure it's not. There is, as far as I'm aware, literally no proof to this. I scoured the internet and I could only find that it was one guy in like many years ago who just blew it out of proportion. And if you just Google Obama birth certificate, it is the first thing that shows up is an official birth certificate copy. And there's like multiple different websites that have this. So they can't all be lying, I don't think. And I think it only gained popularity because Donald Trump, former president, had also agreed with this theory. And, you know, I believe he said that he thought he was born in Africa or something, which basically just stems from racism, might I add. But in 2016, like after this theory had become popular, he had since changed his mind, and after he found out he was born in Hawaii, not Africa, which is what the theorist claimed. But also, that's it. That's literally it. That's the end of the theory. And these were mostly like honorable mentions, to be frank, because there's not much to them. And I'm sure if Caitlin was here, she'd probably have a lot more to say about it. But also, why does it matter? Why does it matter where he was born? Like, who cares? He's still, like, he was still the president. Especially now, he's not president anymore. Why does it matter? Like, I thought he was a pretty good president from what I could see. I may have just lost a few listeners for that, but I don't care. And that's pretty much all I have on the political side of things. I do want to get into a different theory because those were some short ones, and I'm going to go into another short one because, as I said, this is going to be a probably very short episode because it's just me talking, and the cats have both left me, so now I'm really alone, and I'm alone with my own thoughts, and that's never good. I'm just kidding. I also feel like I talk differently. Like, this doesn't feel like my normal conversation voice. Anyway, it's fine. The next theory I want to get into is another goofy one. They're all pretty goofy, I'll be honest. is that Kylie Jenner is a clone. So, like, it's possible. Sure. Probable? Let's be honest. It's not. So we'll go into it and say, like, you know what? It could be true. People say that she died in 2013 and then was replaced back then, and it's been this new one ever since. No. I don't think she was replaced and that she's a clone. I don't think she ever was a clone. You know, she's had children by now. We've seen the pregnancy photos. We've seen the children. I don't believe clones can do that. Pardon me, I don't know much about clones or robots or AI, but I don't think that they can have children. And if so, very realistic. All props go to you guys. Like, congratulations. And that's literally it. But also, like, guys, it's called puberty, plastic surgery, and Photoshop. It's also genetics, which most of us are not blessed with looking as beautiful as the Kardashian-Jenner clan, and also professionals doing your hair and makeup, giving you proper posing, lighting. You can afford to do these strict workouts and get all the best trainers in the world to make you look exactly the way you want to. Extreme diets. You can afford to do these diets. You can also afford weight loss medication, injections and pills that aren't meant for weight loss but make you lose weight, which is apparently something a lot of celebrities are doing lately, which sucks. But, like, I don't think she's a clone. Katy Perry, on the other hand, different story, different episode. But yeah, that's that theory, is because she changed her appearance so drastically. But I just think it was some lip injections, learning how to do her makeup properly, or having a professional do her makeup, and puberty. But, like, other than that, no, I don't think she's a clone. I actually don't. So the next theory is on a specific somebody that I don't even know if we're allowed to mention. I'm gonna say it anyway. Hitler. There's a conspiracy theory that's been around for a very long time, saying that he's still alive. Do I believe it? No. Do I believe any of these theories today? Not really, but I'm sure someone somewhere will. There has been multiple conspiracy theories about Mr. Adolf Hitler throughout the years, and if you don't know him, which I am really hoping you are aware of your history, for once I say that, he was a dictator in Germany from 1933 to 1945, murdered millions of people, overall really bad dude, He did horrible things, Nazi Germany, concentration camps, gas chambers, terrible, terrible things. And he committed suicide, apparently, on April 30th of 1945. However, some people disagree with this. There was a theory that he and his wife, I think Ava, survived and escaped from Berlin, and that they instead fled to South America, and that apparently they've been hiding there all these years, which sounds very far-fetched. But in the post-war years, the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation, or FBI, as well as the Central Intelligence Agency, or CIA, for those of you who didn't notice the acronym, wanted to look into it anyway. They didn't want to promote this theory, I guess, but they wanted to investigate the reports and ensure that it was not true, because there were people that were corroborating this and being like, no, yeah, I saw him. So apparently, something that helped fuel these conspiracy theories was that in 2009 there was a revelation that the skull that the Soviet archives had claimed to be Hitler's was actually checked out to be a woman's skull. So people started freaking out, and they were like, oh my god, he's alive. All the theories are true. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that part. I guess we'll see. But also, he'd be very old by now, would he not? Yeah, so these claims have received some exposure through pop culture, but the historians and scientific experts obviously disprove this, and they call it a fringe theory. Fringe theories are ideas which depart significantly from a prevailing or mainstream theory, also known as like pseudo scholarship, aka not realistic, not real, not probable, most likely not true, to my understanding. You know, eyewitnesses as well as Hitler's dental remains demonstrate that he did indeed die in his Berlin bunker in 1945. You got eyewitnesses, that's pretty solid. And dental remains, which means teeth. So that skull may not have been his, but his teeth are there. As well as in September of the same year, 1945, yes, the circumstances of Hitler's death and or disappearance had been very confusing and mysterious and obviously shrouded in darkness and, quite frankly, evil. There were many different versions circling about his death or his escape, and, you know, some had stated that he had been killed fighting in Berlin. Others say that he had been murdered by officers. You know, the most common theory, which I would believe, is that he killed himself. And then others say he supposedly escaped by air or submarine, so probably a plane or a helicopter. I don't even know if helicopters existed back then. And is apparently living in a mist-enshrouded island in the Baltic, or in a rock fortress, or in, as I mentioned before, a South American ranch, or in a Spanish monastery, or with friendly bandits of mountainous Albania. So there's a lot there. Is any of it true or accurate? I'm gonna let you guys figure that out for yourself. I'm gonna let you make up your own mind, make up your own decision. It's not looking good. Personally, nah. This is not one that I believe. I believe other conspiracy theories for sure. This one? Probably not, but I also hope not. I hope it's not true. I also feel crazy now because all of my roommates are home and they're all in their own rooms, and I'm here talking to myself in a relatively loud voice about crazy conspiracy theories. So this is what I do for you folks. I love this podcast. This is what I'm willing to sacrifice: my dignity, my sanity, my time, my blood, sweat, and tears. Anyway. Alright, so I'll get into the next theory now. So this one is another one about a certain someone not being dead. Somebody still being alive. And you may be thinking, what? I know who it is. Just make a guess. Take a guess. You might have heard this before. Is it a certain pop culture king? Is it Michael Jackson? Because that's what I got. There have been theories for years going around saying that Michael Jackson is not dead. Again, pretty sure that this is not real because, like, people have seen his dead body. But we're gonna get into it anyway. the premise of the theory basically says that obviously he's still alive, and he may have faked his own death to get out of debt, maybe to run away because he didn't want to be famous anymore. And those are the two main theories that I saw on the internet, to be honest. But there are a couple different ways people are trying to prove this. There are lots of impersonators and street performers and, regular performers, drag performers who all look like him on purpose, to do his dances and do great things with his music. So it's plausible that people may see these performers or, even cosplayers walking home from whatever they were doing and think like, oh my god, that looks like Michael Jackson, because they're meant to. Or maybe they've got on, same thing, maybe a Halloween costume, or they went to a costume party. They've changed out of the Michael Jackson clothes, though, but they still have the face makeup on, and they're walking home with that on, and somebody sees it. That's a little bit more believable, to be like, hey, wait a minute, that person looks like Michael Jackson. But alas, it's not. There are also people who may just naturally, genetically look like him that have been spotted in the wild, There's, 8 billion people on this planet? I'm sure there's a couple who did, do, or will look like Michael Jackson, but are not. Maybe they're related distantly, or not at all. They just might look like him. I've come across people who look exactly like other people, and they've never met each other, they don't know each other, they're not related. That's just how humans work. We only have a set amount of faces to be born into this world. There are lots of different variations, but you're bound to come across a few who look exactly alike. That's why doppelgangers exist, And if you don't know what that is, Google it. It's just somebody who looks exactly like you, but you're not related. But yeah, there are lots of people who have supposedly taken pictures of Michael Jackson since his death in 2009, but they could just be lookalikes. A picture, a video from a distance, it's grainy, you can't really prove anything with that. That's not actual proof. You need it to be indisputable. This is so real, oh my god. One thing that I will mention is that a border officer apparently claims he saw him going from California to Mexico shortly after his death, but there's also no proof of this, just word of mouth, so it very well could be a hoax. But if I'm to believe anyone, I would believe that. However, maybe the officer just wanted to get famous, get rich, sell the story to some tabloids. There may be no truth behind it. We really can't say. So even then, if Michael Jackson is still alive, that's great. I'm pretty sure they've seen his dead body. Somebody found him, but let's say he is dead, which I'm pretty sure he is. His death was still suspicious. And I'll get into that. People say he died of an overdose. Yes, but sort of. Michael Jackson's only daughter, Paris, she said that she believed her father was murdered. In an old interview, she told a news agency she believed that Jackson's 2009 death due to cardiac arrest was a setup, and that foul play was involved. I could believe that. That makes more sense to me, unfortunately, because he was in the prime of his life. He was making so much money. He was really successful. Why would he kill himself? I know drug addiction and stuff, but I don't know. It just never makes sense. Same with Marilyn Monroe's death. Different story, different episode, but it's tied up too neatly in the end. It just doesn't make sense. And it just doesn't quite fit the story or the narrative, Supposedly he died of a drug overdose. Reports also stated that he died from the combination of drugs in his body, and that the star was heavily addicted, but was injected daily with that medication. And Dr. Conrad Murray, Michael Jackson's doctor, was actually convicted of the artist's death, and he was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter and was sentenced to 2 years of jail. So, like, I would definitely agree with that sentence. I think that he probably deserved to go to jail for that. And, you know, obviously this happened because investigators, after his untimely death, were like, this does scream foul play. So they got involved. The Los Angeles Police Department went into an investigation to find the exact reason of his death and determine any of the conspiracy theories around this story. And the coroner in the Los Angeles County carried out an autopsy on his body and classified the death as a homicide. So, yeah, not really a suicide, which is what people think when they say, like, oh, he died of a drug overdose. It's not actually. It was not. It was classified as a homicide. And the reason was determined to be the combination of drug intoxication. And, like, I don't think it was an accident. I'll buy into this a little bit. I'll do the devil's advocate. You're a doctor. You should know what drugs not to mix, what drugs not to inject together. Like, he should know that, like, this combination's gonna kill him. So, like, I don't believe it was an accident. I'm definitely open to believing this one. I don't think he's alive, but I do think his death was very suspicious. And so after this investigation concluded, they still couldn't really establish a proper motive behind the murder. However, most people believe that as the doctor was the prime suspect, he would have gained much more from Michael alive rather than dead. Which makes sense because he was on the payroll of Mr. Jackson, I think making, like, a lot. The number I found is like $150,000 a month. I don't know if that's realistic or accurate, but if my employer was giving me that, I would not make sure. I would make sure he stays alive. I would not kill him. Which is why people were confused at the motive. Doesn't make sense. The MO. Alas, he was still found guilty of involuntary manslaughter and sentenced to 2 years in jail. I think he might have originally been sentenced to 4, but got out after 2 years of good behavior or something like that. And so, yeah, that's that. I don't think Michael Jackson is still alive, especially not with the investigation as such, but I do think his death is suspicious. I will say that. All right, we have our final conspiracy of the day. And I actually sort of briefly touched on this in a blog post. I believe it was my first ever one. Sorry I don't update that very much. I am very busy. Famous reptilians. Reptilian people. If you didn't check out the blog post about it, that's fine. I'll go into detail here. So, as this legend goes, lizard people, or reptilians, come from the constellation Draco and have been visiting Earth since ancient times. Which, I'm going to say now, I don't believe this theory, but I would like to. That's kind of cool. These lizards are from the constellation Draco, not Draco Malfoy, and they are apparently shapeshifters, obviously, from outer space, who came to Earth and slowly took over our government and continue to do so and take over our entertainment industry for the sole purpose of enslaving the human race, ? These reptilians want to control us humans by creating wars and distracting us with this mindless entertainment. But, you know, famous reptiles apparently include CEOs, global banking leaders, and celebrities. They're also reptilians are also believed to make up the Illuminati, and that they can take on human forms by creating vibrations that give us the illusion that they are human. And I just want to go over a couple of famous reptiles, apparently. according to some sources. You got Katy Perry. I'm open to it. She's a little weird. You've got Justin Bieber. Shocker again, Barack Obama. I don't think that one's true. You got Madonna, Angelina Jolie, Bill Clinton. Whoa, we're seeing this name again. Michael Jackson. Joe Biden. Bill Clinton, Mark Zuckerberg, Paul McCartney, Avril Lavigne, Rihanna, leave Rihanna alone, Steve-O, Elvis Presley, I don't think so, and Will and Kate, I don't know their last names, the famous royalty, William and Kate. And I don't think I believe any of those, but what a story if it was true. So to give you a little description of what they look like, they apparently are extremely tall in their natural forms, have retractable wings. I didn't know lizards had wings. And they can apparently come from other constellations of stars as well, like Sirius and Orion. Personality-wise, they are apparently ambitious and successful people. Can't relate, just kidding. And apparently in their human forms, some giveaways to help you identify them are that they've got really good eyesight and hearing, so I'm safe. Red hair, low blood pressure, scars, green eyes, or a love of space, or also a sense of not belonging to the human race. So if you don't feel human, maybe you're not. Just kidding. Don't go into psychosis for that. I'm sorry. Another thing to watch out for is apparently they smile that show their bottom teeth, and their eyes can change size, or like their pupils can change. They can get really, really large, or like turn into slits, almost like a cat eye. And another thing to look out for is a general lizardy vibe. This website literally says this. Supposedly, they also want to breed with humans to create half human, half lizards that are also living among us. My question for that is, do the half lizard, half humans know that they're half lizard? Are they in on it? Do they, like, automatically know when they're born, like, I'm a lizard, this is what I've been sent to Earth to do? Or do they have to be told by their parents, like, they turn 18 years old, and then they're sat down, and the mom and dad, or the parents are like, honey, listen, you're adopted, but instead of you're adopted, it's you're a lizard. Okay, we're almost done, folks. I'm almost done with this BS. So, to go over it, the Alpha Draconis star system, aka Draco, lizards. Their lizards came to Earth. Their reptilians infiltrated the government of ancient civilizations. So this isn't something that happened recently. And they wanted to, obviously, as I said before, form crossbreeds, but they also did this so that they can infiltrate their DNA into the minds of humans. So with their DNA inside some of our systems, they can control us by making us dumber, slower, weaker, and easier to control. There has apparently been evidence for this in the reptilian DNA that comes from early stages of development where embryos look a lot like reptiles. That's the evidence, is just, hey, that embryo kind of looks like a reptile. Furthermore, the oldest parts of our brain, which control our primal functions, is apparently called the reptilian brain, because it is made of the structures that the reptilian brain consists of, where the brainstem and cerebellum are. However, these are just probably because we as humans evolved. We started off as little nothings, little mitochondrial cells, little bacterias. Then we developed into like tiny little creatures. If you believe this, if you believe in evolution, and like we sort of went from like fish slash lizards, and then some evolved and turned into monkeys on land after millions of years, and then the fish, lizards, and such stayed in the water. So, that would make sense. But that doesn't mean we're reptilians. Another piece of so-called evidence for this is that many religions of ancient civilizations depict reptilian gods or goddesses, which support a man called David Icke's theory that these reptilian beings once ruled in the open and created structures such as the pyramids of Egypt. This is easily debunked because all of the gods took forms of animals, like Anubis. I don't know if that's how you say his name. My apologies if it's wrong. He's a man who has a jackal head. So, if all the gods are real, sure, that'd be cool. I guess we'll wait and find out, or we won't, or we'll all just die and nothing matters. But yeah, apparently this theory sparked back into reality, or I guess into mainstream popularity, because Justin Bieber's eyes in a recent video seemed to shift and turn quote-unquote reptile-like, unquote. Yeah, and the reason that apparently this is so realistic is because it's hard for the reptiles to keep their true selves hidden through camera lenses. I don't believe that, because then why are they famous? Why are they mostly entertainers, actors, people who need to be on camera all the time? It's most likely a glitch or a camera malfunction. And that's what I have on that. And that's it. We're done. Those are all my theories. I hope you enjoyed it. This is going to be probably our shortest outro yet, because I'm done talking. There's nobody here to outro with me, and I'm not good at outros. So that's always a Caitlin thing. So, Caitlin, love you. See you next time. Thanks for listening if you made it this far, and I'm so sorry you had to put up with that nonsense. Tune in next time for maybe something not conspiracies. Probably true crime. What we're known for. Alright, peace out. Love you guys. Wish Caitlin a happy belated birthday. Happy Easter. I don't know when this is coming out. And also, I know before it comes out, I want to wish my parents a happy anniversary. I want to wish my dad a happy birthday. Happy birthday to my friend Shume. And yeah, happy Good Friday. Because all of that is happening in the same week. Peace out. Peace and love. Don't do drugs. And if you do them safely. Eat your vitamins. Or, I don't know. Okay, bye.
Creeps and Coffee is produced and edited by us, Kate and Jaim.
Our theme music is Stuck in a Hole by Dated.
For more information on where to find them, check out the link in our show notes. And to connect with us, follow us on Instagram and Twitter @Creeps and Coffee.